first This Week in Crypto here of December, our final month of 2025. And what a rocky couple of months it's been. We're now at the 2-month mark since the good old days when we were up at 125.8K, Bitcoin's current and historic all-time high. Now we've retraced as low as 80K and now back to about 90K. We've had a topsy-turvy week full of big swings in both directions. And boy, has the crowd reacted to every little swing. We'll get into sentiment and exactly how people have kind of had their moods impact where prices go next. There are certain weeks where, something might be rocked by geopolitics or by whale moves. This past week appears to have been heavily impacted by retail and their overall decisions to buy at tops and sell at bottoms. That tends to always be the case to an extent where you see retail getting it wrong and the market's moving the opposite direction of the crowd's expectations. It isn't because they're just getting it wrong on accident. They're actually creating the patterns that we see. And I think a lot of people still interpret that in different ways, but markets aren't predestined to go in a certain direction. They're moving based on when retail is deciding to sell their coins at a loss to whales, or when they're buying when whales are already heavily in profit and then whales send markets down. Sometimes it's more visual than others, sometimes less. And this week, we've got a lot of great examples of that. Before we get into it, though, let's look at some price returns. And Maksim, our founder, should be joining soon. So we'll have his interpretation of the markets to join us soon as well. But here we can see Bitcoin down about 1.8%, sitting at about 90.2K at this moment. Ethereum at about 3,100 still. It had cracked 32. People were getting very excited after its update. But we do see several coins that did not fare nearly as well, like XRP, down nearly 7%. We posted yesterday about how there is a ton of FUD going on with the third largest non-stable coin. So I'm very intrigued to see whether that creates a bit of a boost in XRP's price as a result. We see Solana down 4%, Doge down almost 6%, Bitcoin Cash up 7%. And the big losers, again, Zcash getting hammered down almost 20%. Call this a regression to the mean, if you will. A lot of people felt that Zcash never should have gone on its 11x pump that it did back in November anyways. But now we've retraced and it's given up over half of its gains since that historic jump. Canton, the biggest, down 25% for those following Canton. It's been a rough go of things. Also, Internet Computer down 15 and Pi down 13% respectively. Some other big losses. Overall, a little less social volume than usual. Bitcoin seeing 11% less discussion. And I do see that Maksim should be jumping on here any moment. Grok down 31%. Tether seeing a huge jump in social volume compared to the week prior. Now, looking at some key social trends here, we do see that Cloudflare experienced yet another outage, and that caused some havoc, especially in the crypto world. You saw Coinbase, Kraken, and Upbit seeing a major outage that impacted their ability or users' abilities to jump on. You also see all sorts of major websites that were not able to be accessed as well when this happens. It happened a couple weeks ago. It even impacted sentiment briefly last time, even though this time I think we were and have been stable throughout that process. CFTC has approved trading, and the spot crypto trading on its registered futures exchange is now available for the first time in US history. This is a pretty big deal. And the acting chair, Caroline Pham, highlighted this as a historic step to make America a global crypto hub. call this further steps in the right direction for the US and its initiative to allow crypto trading and make it as accessible as possible. We also see some drama between CZ challenging Peter Schiff, who's the big gold bug, one of the most famous in the world, having a live debate by presenting a fake gold bar, which Schiff could not verify without tools. This is funny because it's basically creating conversation between crypto traders who have come up a bit short compared to gold throughout 2025. Crypto is, of course, about even. I can illustrate that here, even on the year, whereas gold is up pretty significantly. As we take a look, we can look since, we'll just go January 1st of 2025. Yeah, I hope we can get you on soon, Maksim. It should be just a click of a button. Max should be able to help you through that. But yeah, you can see gold here. Since January 1st, it was sitting at about 26.45, now up to 42.67. That is roughly a 61% gain, whereas Bitcoin is actually down about 5.5%. It was even just a couple of days ago here on December 3rd on the year, but yeah, now it's down. Meanwhile, the S&P is also faring pretty well compared to Bitcoin. So yeah, plus 17% on the year. Obviously, the narrative has switched quite a bit as a result of this, with many people turning to gold and stocks once again and abandoning crypto, which you should interpret as a pretty good sign that the crowd has flipped into a bit of a bearish narrative overall for crypto, especially when they're sitting on the sidelines and its peers in terms of sectors are doing so well. Maksim, I heard a little bit of noise. Can you hear me okay?
No, I can hear. I just cannot change my video settings. It looks like with this software we're using now, you can only set it up before the stream, and then you cannot change it anymore. So probably today I will be without camera.
That's okay. Yeah, we'll get it sorted for next week. And the good thing is we hear your voice, and I can share my screen in the meantime. Yeah, Max says you're slightly soft, maybe a little bit muffled. Mostly just soft from what I could hear. I hear you clearly. You're just a little far away.
And now? Now better? Now I'll put it closer.
I hear you fine. Yeah. It could just be my own headphone volume, but yeah. I think you're good. Max, you can confirm in the chat, but
looks like I'm afraid it's a different software we're using now.
Yep.
And we need to set up everything before the stream begins. After this, you cannot change anything.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, you're
no, I mean I cannot even change the settings for my microphone. Nothing.
I know. I'm saying your microphone is fine. I think it might have just been a volume thing, but you're fine now. I think our stream should be able to hear you.
Okay.
So how are you seeing the markets, my friend? I know it's been a rocky week. We talked yesterday about some specific metrics we'll dive into, but what are you seeing?
What do I see? What was what we discussed yesterday when we got together with team? That it's obviously there is a strong, well, there are several, okay, let's use the word narrative. If even not everything is narrative, it's just reasoning, which dominates market perception. And as you know, from perception, you can read probably next market moves. So one was, now it's a bit in hindsight, but to form it now than just to skip it. Concerns, worry about Saylor, MicroStrategy, and also how much was it? 3 or 4 billion potential losses on Ethereum treasury. And there's definitely, actually I have a link which, okay, it also works. Yeah, it also works. But my link includes all possible boards, and I have on my screen, on my narrative, specifically designed for this purpose. So it was very strong. It was 5% dominance, which we know It's a good sign. It has impact. And the second one, Tether FAT, was even more. There was a time where you cannot scroll your feed, I think even for 1 minute without seeing it. So these two narratives are replaced by the deep, and it's a kind of combination or setup. We're always looking for a bottom. Okay. As we said, I think we repeated a few times in the last weeks. Yeah.
Right.
That once the bottom hits in, this desire, or what we track, present social dominance for by the dip is being replaced. Not simply it declines. It declines is a good sign. It can stay more or less the same. It can stay on a lower level, like few percent for some time, but then suddenly there is another narrative, and in our case, at the last bottom, there were two narratives. You have Tether FAT, downgrade of I think S&P. It was very interesting, yeah. And the second MicroStrategy is that the value is or stock value below holdings, and they will get liquidated, and or they will have some problems paying dividends. So we had two narratives which replaced in the mind of traders or investors or retail desire to buy the dip or double cost average, and not surprisingly, it coincided or precisely came with the bottom. So asking the question, what's next? What's now? We just track these narratives. Did they reduce or not? Are people now discussing other topics? Yeah, this is what we can spend time on. And as a matter of fact, yesterday we also covered that it's not that the crowd or retail or majority, let's put majority is wrong. They are wrong with the timing. This is like 98% of the time wrong with the timing. So we might be right, and we also sharing the same attitude that MicroStrategy and all the DITs and simple approach to accumulate a Bitcoin will blow out. It's just the timing. It's not what people expect. Yeah, when we talk too much about, same like buy the dip. When you talk, when we see on our data, everyone or many traders talking about buying the dip, so it's not the dip yet. When so many people talking about, okay, MicroStrategy will blow out, will get liquidated, it's a pyramid, look at this picture, what they posted, yeah, what is picture, what Saylor posted, he's live on Titanic. Yeah, it will happen, but not now, yeah? Not when we are talking about. So there will be another dominant topic, probably, I don't know what, end of we'll see, some economical or some political, yeah, and then suddenly this story will come back. So we probably this week, maybe next week, we'll keep revisiting this remain narrative by the dip, MicroStrategies, and Tether or stablecoin as in general. Talking about stablecoin, we need to fix a few data issues, because we found out there were, and additionally, probably some people, now when I'm thinking about, we're trying to skew algorithms because of coordinated a lot of spam on Telegram channels about Tether FAT. Like really, we can see on our data, like 5 times more than usual, or 5 times more than it should be. So once we fix it next week, we'll present it. We need to remove the spam. But buying the dip, we can look into it. Yeah, it's I think it's already on your screen.
Yeah, I'm just checking out the pattern, and we are seeing somewhat of an encouraging pattern here because of the decline in these peaks of buy the dip over time. This latest one, which was on a legitimate dip, was very small compared to some of the previous buy the dip opportunities. So the crowd does appear to be exhausted based on this declining pattern.
Yeah, everything keeps changing. And not only everything keeps changing, it's also you have no control what thought or what emotion, what idea will come to your mind, especially when it's a group mind or collective mind of people talking on Twitter or Telegram or Reddit. Topics are changing and you're not controlling them. They just appears. and suddenly you find out, oh, now I'm talking, or now I'm impacted, or now I'm thinking about, I don't know, how dangerous situation is or how exciting situation is. It's very important to keep, to have some awareness of it. Things will change.
Agreed.
There will be another topic, and you have no control when it will appear and what it will be.
Yeah. I wanted to point out also the mentions of MicroStrategy appeared to be very prevalent when Bitcoin was dipping, but whenever it rebounded, notice how the conversations around it kind of declined. So I'm picking up that the crowd sees the MicroStrategy situation and its decline as kind of a key correlation with Bitcoin's dips. Whenever it goes down, the crowd needs something to blame, and they look at Michael Saylor as a key reason why. But that conversation typically goes away whenever prices start to bounce. I got this. Yeah, let me pull up your link here and see how it differs.
Yep.
So Balance just sent this to me. It looks, okay, this is even more noticeable in terms of the peaks here based on all of your extra words. So we have MicroStrategy, MSTR, and Saylor like I had, but you also added GameStop and then BTC and Reserve, ETH and Reserve, even Tom and Lee. So yeah, we see a major spike here right at the beginning of the month, and another one happening today, interestingly.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly people have been making these topics a big conversation over the last couple weeks, really, ever since the decline below, say, 95K or so.
You can take last month, maybe we will see. We'll see. I have to check months and then take granularity here. Will it get better 1 hour? Let's see, or will it get too noisy? Okay. Okay. The dominance kind of a bit too noisy, but we can see more clearly the timing when it appeared.
Yeah, it's right at the bottom. I mean, that's a pretty good signal right there for those interested. You know, look at these topics as a good bear trap signal, because people tend to get a lot of FUD.
Probably for the next, this is the beauty or the complexity and the beauty that, as I say, topics are changing and we have no control. We can try to guess, but no guarantee we'll guess it right. But there will be some topic with substantial dominance, because we take here hourly spikes, so it's 2.77, 8% or 3%. If you take 4 hours, I think it will get even higher. Usually I check 4 hours.
2.4%. Right now it's at 2.1.
Okay. So 2% is good, but strong one is 5 and above. It's like really strong. Like 5, it's a really wow. It's a rest assured, it's a pain, very strong pain. But this is already a strong level of concern, at least.
Yeah, very cool. So that's been a big topic of, or these series of topics have all been a major narrative for crypto as of late. We saw it buying dips. And then from like a raw average return perspective, there's been a change over the past week. So because of our rebound back above to, well, this is Ethereum. We'll start with Ethereum. That's fine. It got up to 3,200, and you can see, actually, let me switch this because it's a multi-asset chart. You can see Bitcoin getting all the way to plus 7%, or plus 3%, that is, and plus 4%, and then Ethereum at plus 7%. Both started to actually become overvalued based on the 30-day MVRV. And once they crept above, all of crypto started to fall again. So we've been seeing mostly very negative MVRVs across the board for these top cap assets. And we finally go above and we quickly peak and go back down.
Yeah.
So MVRV right now looks pretty neutral, which is fine.
Yeah, right now it's, exactly. So there is no signal there. It's just.
Exactly.
It's interesting. While you were sharing MVRV, I checked shortly the price activity of the last few hours, and it does explain what we see now in the crypto, the stock market trying to pump. Actually, in European also was not so strong, but was growing since the morning. And now I think in US the market opened like 1 hour ago or one and a half hour ago.
Yep, an hour.
And there is a quite strong push. I have not, of course, researched in details. I'm not following stocks so deeply, but obviously Dow Jones, S&P, and Nasdaq all growing quite rapidly. So looks like they try to pull with itself crypto prices up, as we can see on the short time frame, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and others too. But it's difficult for crypto. So how do you read this? Like really, crypto keeps struggling against the stock market. I think the story that you should have been invested in the stocks this year, not in crypto, it really looks maybe as a separate narrative. Lost
Yeah.
year for crypto, and we should be, guys, we should all be invested in stocks. I expect it to really form as a very strong narrative. Maybe this will mark the bottom. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really a narrative that started to form until about a month ago, because people formed these narratives in hindsight after we see an overperformance by the S&P 500 compared to Bitcoin. And everyone says, oh, you should have thought of this at the beginning of the year. Crypto was always going to start to fall, and it's all about stocks now. So now, we were talking about this yesterday, Max, and people are saying, oh, trading stocks is easy simply because the sector has been doing so much better.
No.
Yeah. And the other thing I've noticed over the past week, look at the anti-correlation or the reverse correlation between Bitcoin and gold. They're almost going in complete reverse. If I just hide S&P for a moment.
Peter Schiff must be having now his moment of glory.
Yeah.
Few months of glory. Oh, indeed, yeah. Oh, on this chart it looks almost like a mirror.
Mirror image. Yeah. I mean, this was the weekend, so this isn't going to count. But over the last 5 days, when gold opened, it's kind of flipping whatever Bitcoin is doing, and that's pretty rare. So whatever it is, the algos, the elite whales, they seem to be directly flipping between gold and Bitcoin right now.
Well, I think whales are accumulating both. Let's be honest.
Sure.
And actually, this is the way how you build diversified portfolio. Once you find not correlated assets, which fundamentally, in the times of uncertainty and very likely strong inflation and printing money, what do you want to have? You want to have gold and Bitcoin, and then uncorrelated. So what do? You buy both whenever there is a chance. So this is what they're doing. Just interesting that in ZIT, not correlated. Yes, there must be explanation. Maybe someone smarter than me or knows exact reasoning or rationale why is it so opposite correlated. Eventually it will form into some story which even I will understand, but yeah.
I always assume that when there's this prevalent of a mirror image, it has to be related at least somewhat to algos, which are controlled by whales, right? It's not like they're independent, but I think that there's some algorithms that have been flipped over the last week to essentially program Bitcoin and gold. Whenever gold is bought, Bitcoin is sold. Whenever Bitcoin is bought, gold is sold.
Oh, okay. Now let me form the conspiracy theory.
Sure.
They want to buy all Bitcoins and all gold, and they flip it so that people get scared and sell one of those on the cheaper prices.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Yeah, okay.
I think that's a decent theory.
One of those conspiracy theories I like. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so...
sarcasm. Yeah.
I mean, it could be. You never know.
But it's for sarcasm. But okay.
But, that brings us to the topic of whales, and we do see... For the first time in quite a while, pretty much since the all-time high here, we're starting to finally see some accumulation over the last week. This is the percent of holdings, and you can see both sharks and whales rising now, while retail is also rising. And for those who remember that insight I wrote a few weeks ago about the green and the blue and the yellow, orange, red zones, this would be considered a blue zone all of a sudden because the whales and sharks matter more than this red line. And the only thing holding it back from being like a super bullish signal is the fact that retail is still going up. So this is like a 4 out of 5 on the bullish scale. If you're just looking at how the whales are doing, versus the retail. They're both going up right now. Ideally, we want to see retail starting to dump along with whales accumulating, and that's the perfect time for pumps to happen. So this is really the first time in a couple of months that we're really seeing consistent accumulation, and we can count how much they're accumulating just by going to the absolute amount of coins held. That's here in yellow. I'm going to hold down shift, and over the last week, they've added about 45.5K Bitcoin. That's a lot in a very short amount of time. Really the most we've seen since July, since this pump here. I like the sign of this, and it does show that we're in a bit of a bullish divergence all of a sudden, because Bitcoin is kind of, well, going like that, and the accumulation is going like that. So could be a very good sign for the short term when you see this level of accumulation without Bitcoin's price reacting to it right away. So I like the sign of that a lot. And while we're here, Maksim, we've talked a little bit about some of the other signals from other top caps. Ethereum's sharks and whales holding 100 to 100K. They hold about a third of all Ethereum. They're starting to move back up a little while retail continues to go down.
Can you use the same chart but flip the asset to wrapped Ethereum?
Yeah, I have it.
The one which is used in most DeFi protocols.
Yep, I already have it on the same template. So here's wrapped Ethereum, major dump. Now I chose a range based on estimations. We could switch this around, but right now I'm using 100 to 100K Ethereum wallets, and they're going down significantly still.
Okay, can you take smaller group, I don't know, 1 to 100? And then we take longer time frame, maybe 1 year. I just want to see longer time. Yeah. Okay.
So here's 1 year. The yellow line is 1 to 100, and that's continuing to go down.
So it's a kind of centralization of DeFi. Okay, whatever it means. And then the very
hold on. That was inaccurate because we still have Bitcoin highlighted. Let me switch and do that one more time just to make sure.
You took wrapped Ethereum on Arbitrum.
I was just looking at Bitcoin because I had the big selector as Bitcoin still. So I'm going to check 1 to 100 now for wrapped Ethereum. There we go. So it's actually barely moved. It has not really moved at all since September.
Maybe we have some bug now, I'm thinking.
Could be. I mean,
wait, is it now wrapped Ethereum or wrapped Ethereum on Arbitrum? Because you select Arbitrum.
Aha. Thank you for catching that. Let's check one more time. Yeah. ERC20 wrapped Ethereum. There we go. Yeah, it looks pretty identical actually to the 100 to 100K.
Interesting.
So if all of these are going down, I guess the question is, which are going up?
Where is it going? Yeah,
it's got to be the 100K plus, right? Let's just take all of these.
Well, yeah. Now when I'm thinking about, there's been massive accumulation of movement of Ethereum to AAVE to get the stable. If even it's now, yeah, exactly. And now I have another chart, but if you look deposit of wrapped Ethereum now, it will be exactly the same. It means, there is a story behind. So whatever wrapped Ethereum was used on a small amount on different liquidity pools or on smaller lending borrowing protocols as potential to get yield, now everything gets centralized on AAVE. Everything pulled there. If even the yield is almost non-existent, it's around 1% now. So people are so confident or willing to, or looking for 1% yield without perception of possible risks that Ethereum go much lower. It's probably come together with the story that Saylor eventually will get liquidated, just not now. We're building up to very interesting events. Well, even though it doesn't sound, probably will not be so good, but I would expect in some point of time, be it several months or 1 year, we'll get very big negative event.
Yeah, and here's AAVE V3 deposits. I was looking at V2, and obviously they dropped off after the upgrade in March. But V3, there does appear to be much less since August. It's been pretty, even now, it seems to be declining a bit over time.
Wait a second, I will share with you. Tick, tick, tick. Here. Well, I will send you the whole chat.
Yeah, I'll open it.
And then there will be, it's my favorite one, but it's very long one. As a matter of fact, I think we check it almost every time. I just look into different parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
I will share it. Yeah. In our
Got it.
Yeah.
All right, lending and borrowing rates. Yeah, this is...
There are a lot of charts, a lot of interesting lines, some amount of alpha, but need to know where to look. Scroll down.
Mm-hmm.
Just to, this was, actually I use it too as an indicator of hit, the new one. Yeah. But anyway, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Yeah, one more. Okay. So this is the yield you can get for your Ethereum if you deposit it to AAVE. You see it's like 1%, like non-existing almost. Still people are doing it. Now next chart, look at it. This is a, of course, if the yield going down, it means, yeah, the yellow line is the amount of total wrapped ETH supplied. And you see it's like ballooning. Yeah, ballooning, it's a lot. Maybe it's even all-time high now.
Yeah, in about 3 weeks, it's gone up by about 33%.
Yeah.
Massive.
So, and this is a actually important story. People twisted on the Twitter, I saw a few times, as a sign of confidence that some protocol or some old whale, yeah, exactly. So the story was old whale who had from ICO time, I don't remember how much amount of Ethereum, instead of selling, moved it to our, of course, he dropped yield. But it's a confident in the future, which is not so good sign. Yeah. It means this yield is not worried that, okay, from ICO time, probably I wouldn't be worried either. If even Ethereum goes to, I don't know, 2000 for him, still it's like huge profits. But still this confidence and sign of confidence means we are probably not done yet. We are not done yet on the lower side of price discovery. So mid to long term, I really think we're not done yet. Saylor story is not finished. Then this confidence is still present. We did have fear, yeah. We identified it on FAT, Tether FAT and everything. We did have fear. So it was enough to sustain this current recovery. And it might be enough to keep us in recovery mode for some time. But mid to long term, we're not done yet. Looking at this. Or at least I don't think we're done yet. Okay. But long-term story, I mean, it's not what will happen in next week. So we can come back. This is a chart I wanted to share with you just to show it's many different angles, how I look into market condition based on what's going on in the lending borrowing market and major protocols, which are de facto now AAVE and Morpho. Compound, not so relevant. MakerDAO, not so relevant. Yeah. We can talk about next time when we have a team talk. I will share so you can present it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So looking at some on-chain metrics, we can check out Bitcoin just to see if there's been anything new here. Transaction volume isn't going anywhere right now. Network growth, we did see a little bit of a bump at the end of the month, but it's coming back down. Nothing too out of the ordinary on-chain. We talked about MVRV here, how 30-day is back to about even, but the 365-day, there's still a bit of meat on the bone, down 11% on average for wallets active in the past year. So that's a good sign if you're looking for an entry point right now and you want to hold for a long period of time. The long-term MVRV does show that there's an opportunity zone going on. And then funding rates, we've talked a bit about this balance. I'll actually put on the aggregated funding rate metric here. And we'll just take off everything else for a moment. So overall, the funding rates aggregated by exchange is showing just a slight bullish bias, but nothing really in either direction right now. You can see the shorts that were trickling in have mostly faded away now and haven't shown up here in the last couple of days. So ideally, we'd like to see the crowd start to bet against Bitcoin because then they get liquidated and prices move up with rocket fuel. Whale transactions, significant decline. Now we've talked about how overall they're really starting to go up. 45K accumulated in the last week is very impressive, but overall activity of whales is pretty neutral. The mean dollar invested age is starting to go up again after this big drop. I think we found out that this was mostly just Coinbase wallets circulating here, so this wasn't as significant as it appeared. But dormant wallets don't look to be in any sort of stagnancy period, at least, which is a good sign. And network realized profit loss, we aren't really seeing any significant realized profits going up on these short rises. Ideally, we'd see those as a signal that we can continue to climb. But right now, it's pretty neutral, not a lot of realized profits. And supply and exchanges is looking pretty healthy. You can see it peaked up here on November 22nd when we bottomed out in the low 80Ks. And since that time, we've seen the overall about 18K worth of Bitcoin net has moved off of exchanges, which is a strong sign. We're also finally seeing a jump in social dominance again. Bitcoin's social dominance has been going way down throughout late November and early December, but just today, if I'm seeing this correctly, yeah, that's a big jump. It was at...
We're cleaning up a little bit, as I said.
Okay.
There was Tether and stablecoin spam on Telegram channel, which skewed a little bit dominance of majors. But the absolute number will be different. The trend will remain, indeed. This is one of the things. Once conversation moved from discussing Bitcoin or Ethereum pricing as an asset to some narrative or some rationality why we're so screwed, which was MSTI and other digital asset treasuries and Tether, you know that, okay, now minds of majority busy with something else. But now we're back. Looks like we're back. Now Bitcoin probably have chance, at least if you read the minds of people who are talking, have a chance to grow higher.
Yeah, and we'll wait for data to normalize a bit since there's some spam that might have skewed data. But either way, there's going to be some sort of jump that's happening right now, and Bitcoin is a topic of conversation. As you said, Maksim, we are back in terms of conversations about crypto's top asset. RSI is pretty neutral. Amount of holders is going up steadily. You want to look at a sign of a bottom. Look at how the amount of holders was really declining going into mid to late November, right before America was celebrating Thanksgiving. We bottom out just a couple days after, and then we start to see the number of holders start to decline. But this was a sign that we were getting close because the net number of holders was going down as retail was liquidating. So that's very interesting. A few other things I wanted to show.
Show us.
Solana has been getting a lot of attention right now. It's the #1 trending coin at the moment.
What's the story behind? I did not follow up on
It looks like it launched a cross-chain bridge with Coinbase's base network secured by Chainlink CCIP protocol. So it's essentially a new bridge that enables seamless asset transfers. So it makes liquidity and DeFi activity a bit stronger. So people have gotten excited about that. Now, it hasn't affected price. Price is still declining over the last couple of days, but there's a lot of polarity going on between Solana bears and bulls at the moment because of this improvement. And then we see Ethereum and Chainlink, SWI, which has not been a good performer in 2025. We actually posted, coincidentally, let me see if I can find it. Was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. We put this out. So for those who are monitoring our SANR,
This was funny.
yeah, SANR and sanitizer predictions,
Yeah.
altcoin Gordon predicted $1 SWI or $1 walrus, but he also said bookmark this tweet for SWI and walrus. And since
Looks
that
like
moment,
we did bookmark, yeah.
we certainly did. I said there's just as much value in finding traders getting markets wrong as those who get it right. Since mid-July, SWI has lost 2/3 of its market cap. Gordon Gecko invited us to bookmark his post, so we did.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, and we got this sad dog. So you talk about counter signals. This person, who's obviously a major influencer, predicted a higher performance for SWI, and it's lost 2/3 of its market cap since then. So
probably we don't have this data now at hand. If there are any bold predictions for Solana or Chainlink.
Yeah, I haven't checked prior. We could look up a few on SANR if you want, really quickly.
No, okay, we can, but I checked actually yesterday and today morning. I didn't see any.
Okay. We'll monitor that, and maybe going into next week, we can look at some of the boldest predictions for some of crypto's top assets. I think that would be a fun exercise. Also, I put out a few insights about some big swings in crowd mood. As I mentioned before, right before Maksim joined, I wanted to show a few of these. Here's XRP just yesterday. It had its most bearish day since late October yesterday. And it hasn't moved much since, but in previous moments, you can see the greed zone right at the top, the fear zone right at the bottom, and then another greed zone. This is just based on the ratio of positive versus negative comments on XRP. And now we're back in this bearish commentary zone. Typically, that's going to be a good sign. It's still sitting a little above $2. So watch XRP today. If there's some Friday rally going on, XRP might be one that might get a little bit of a boost due to all of the retail FUD going on. And also, we put out Bitcoin's big flips, where we're looking at its positive versus negative commentary. Look at how it had a huge fear zone in late November, right before Thanksgiving. Then we got super greedy after Bitcoin recovered. Then we got super fearful again after it dipped to the low 80Ks. And now, this was as of a couple days ago, I'll look at right now, but we saw that greed zone. We predicted there might be a bit of a letdown now that the crowd got super greedy as of December 3rd. And if we take a live look, let's do the last month. Yeah, so they got super greedy, and then immediately, just as we predicted, prices started to go back down, went to neutral. Then there was just one more little bounce here. And interestingly, we're seeing a lot of greed today. So in terms of the current conditions of how the crowd is looking at Bitcoin, not the best sign. You don't want to see this kind of level of optimism from retail going into the weekend, because it means that they're buying up, just as we saw with the retail accumulation going on the other graph. This is confirming that retail is not showing any sort of fear whatsoever. In fact, they're showing quite a bit of optimism and greed at the moment. So Bitcoin is seeing a lot of greed. Ethereum also seeing a fair level of greed, mostly due to their upgrade from a couple days ago. XRP should not have changed. Oh, it actually has changed quite a bit. So we saw quite a bit of fear yesterday, and now quite a bit of optimism. So it looks like overall, Maksim, there's just a bullish bias that's forming among the top cap assets. Even Binance Coin is seeing its largest level of greed in about 3 weeks. Looking at Solana, because you mentioned it.
Yeah.
They're pretty neutral at the moment. Tron, we haven't looked at Tron much. Huge spike, yeah.
Doesn't look good.
No, not good at all. So if you're looking just from a retail perspective going into the weekend, way too much optimism right now. We need to see that settle down. Maybe it happens due to some price stagnancy or some other piece of news, something, geopolitical, who knows? But right now, this is going to prevent coins from being able to break out too much, even with the good sign that whales are accumulating again, which I am very excited about. So a bit of a mixed bag, but the top caps are showing quite a bit of optimism from the smaller wallets out there.
By the way, how does it look for Uniswap? Has there been
Uni? Let's take a look. Very optimistic.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it almost looks like some bot activity with the level of FOMO that's suddenly popping up on Friday compared to all the other days we've seen.
Okay.
Also, I want to see Zcash, because Zcash has been the biggest loser. Pretty neutral right now.
But but it recovered from the bottom. The bottom was quite good. I mean, negative readings were good enough to allow this bounce.
Yeah.
But the current readings, kind of toppish too.
Yeah. So it's bounced about 21% since Tuesday when it hit its bottom, but it's still down overall since November 16th, going back 3 weeks ago. That's lost about half of its market cap, roughly.
That's just how brutal
capital
markets are.
If you like volatility, Zcash has been a fun one, because it 11x'd between late September and here, and then it started to tip. So, which is inevitable. When you see a coin that 11x's while the rest of the markets are flat or even declining, usually means there's going to be a point in which it gives up some of those gains eventually. So,
let's put it in this way. It doesn't need to be 10x, it can be 5x, 3x, or 20x. Using this kind of metrics, combination of what we've developed so far, and we're using recently, combination of sentiment metrics, positive, negative, weighted sentiment, social dominance, ideally all of them flashing extreme readings, some of them flashing divergences. This is where you'll see, regardless if it was 3x, 5x, or 10x, say, okay, this is a toppish formation. And Zcash was one of the cases. I even did sunset on Sana, which did quite well. Based on weighted sentiment, it was like, wow. I think you even have it either on this chart or next one. There was like this huge spike, and then it started deviating, or divergence. That divergent price was still pushing, but do you have here social dominance on this or next chart?
This is a solo chart, but I'll just add it to this same one. I'll hide everything else for a moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you see, it's like the last top happened, and then when we kept trying, the whole crowd moved somewhere completely in different direction. Anyway, just to say that, or sum up, it does not even matter if it's 10x, 5x, 2x, like for Bitcoin, Ethereum, 2x is already a big growth. For the cash here was needed 10x. If Uniswap or I don't know, Hype again, or any of the coins we're not aware now by 5x, which is possible, of course, then the set of social metrics, they really help. A little bit patience, as I also tend sometimes to be impatient. It's difficult to wait. You start looking to this chart, you pile or you plot all these metrics, and you say, okay, now, a little trade. It will happen with, let's say, top 50, top 100 in market cap coins. Once they start pumping, these extreme social readings and then divergences happened. I haven't seen an exception yet. Always happens. Just patience a bit. And the set of correct metrics, which we can share in a description to video, or you just ask around in our Discord. Or maybe we'll come up the next time we see next coin.
Yeah, there's always an outlier pump going on somewhere. And
regularly. Yes.
Zcash was the latest one, but this one was a good example. I mean, the social dominance hit, I think it's year high right around here. And then even here, if you just waited for social dominance to get completely reset and go back to where it was in late September, right before the rally, that was the ideal time where you could have bought back in. So in this case, it worked out almost perfectly.
Social dominance and combined with metrics like positive, negative,
Right.
or there is weighted. I think for them even weighted sentiment worked nicely because the volume was quite big. For some others coins, maybe it will not work so good. You need some good volume of conversations.
Yeah, weighted sentiment started to go negative here in mid to late November, and then it got to its lowest point since September right here, and this was the ideal buy time. So
yeah, the best just all of them separate charts, and then you have 4 charts, and it's enough.
Yeah,
for this
I'm just curious.
Crowd favorites. Yep.
I just wanted to look really quick. If we just look at market caps that are over 500 million, that'll take us to about 200 coins. If we go to the best performers right now, oh wow, Black Phoenix.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, it's 100th in market cap now, which is interesting. So they're up 160% in the past week, or past day, that is. You can easily just go here to the screener, guys, and filter. You know, I usually like to put a market cap filter on. Otherwise, you're going to get, you know, over 4,000 assets, and all of the best performers are going to be ones you've never even heard of. But these are actually like legit coins that are tradable places on a lot of different exchanges. So you can do something similar to what you did with Zcash for coins like Black Phoenix right now. I don't know about Grok. I don't know if it's all of it's accurate because we see it jump up on our top leaderboard a lot. Hex is up there today. Zcash, you can see, is still rebounding up 8.4%. But other than that, there aren't really a lot of gainers at all outside of those top 4. Tron barely up. Once you get here, yeah, you're looking at stable coins. So Black Phoenix appears to be the best candidate right now. I'm just curious if it has any sort of similar signals to what we just saw. Look at this. This might be too noisy or skewed by something.
Yeah. We need to check in the background. It has really be widely discussed on the channels we're tracking. If there is little volume, metrics are useless.
Pretty wacky, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because for Zcash, it was really hundreds, when not more, messages. So it's very fruitful and easy to build social metrics on top of them. If it's just few messages, no.
Okay. So toss what I said about Black Phoenix. It looks like it might be an outlier in our data right now.
And it's a nice name.
Yeah.
we give it that. Yeah, it's a nice name.
Of course. But that's all from me, Maksim. It looks like, you know, we can be a little cautiously optimistic due to some whale accumulation, but, you know, looking at the sentiment right now for crypto's top assets, it looks a little concerning with all the greed going on. Is that how you're seeing it?
Yeah, probably we need to see stocks pumping more. Crypto stays flat so that people really get upset or angry, and then maybe we will follow up. And then eventually, after a few weeks or months, we'll crash down. We'll see. But we can update our view on the market like every week, which we actually do. So at the moment, yes, probably Ethereum need to touch 3,000 or 3,050 just to really get us, me including, very upset why all the stocks are pumping and we cannot.
Yeah.
It's a good sign.
Well, very good, my friend. It was a pleasure to have you here and talk markets. And I'm looking forward to next week with you.
Yeah, same here.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, whether you watched on live stream or you're watching on replay. We appreciate the support. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. And we will catch you next week.
Yeah, and next time I will come a bit earlier so we can set up my camera properly. Yeah. Sorry
No worries.
with my face. If you
Sounds
maybe
good to
want
me.
Okay, anyway.
All right. Take care, everybody. Thanks.
Take care, guys. Bye.